on to another topic here with Mike. So Brian's got another question.
All right. So we want to move on to kind of the effectiveness of that position or that platform and the responsibilities of a judge or how you see what judges, what their obligation is. So do you feel like judges have an obligation to improve the public's understanding of the courts? How do you feel about that?
Yes, it's absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely our obligation to improve the public's understanding, and that happens in a number of ways. And I think anyone who's been to court in the state of North Carolina has, if you've been multiple times for traffic tickets or things, you've seen some judges that are very efficient and very professional, and then you've seen some judges that you don't really feel are being professional on the bench,
That's right.
and that's harmful to the system of justice, right?
Right.
If you go in there and your judge is laughing, if your judge is playing, if your judge is overly mean or overly rude,
Mm-hmm.
that weakens the confidence that justice is happening, right? That if you go in there and you see your judge is just being mean to everyone, you don't feel like you're going to get a fair shake. You feel like
Right.
something bad, they're going to be mean to you.
Exactly.
If you go in there and it's a party time in there and everybody's joking around, there's also this sense of we don't know what we're going to get. The judge's role is to be neutral, to be fair. Um, in district court, you're going to make decisions. You're going to rule on cases, guilty, not guilty, liable, not liable in civil cases.
Right.
But it's our job to make sure that the public understands what's going on with the courts, what the law is.
Right.
Who's a great example of this is Judge Denise Hartsfield. Judge Denise Hartsfield is everywhere, and she is all over the place talking about rights, and she gets to Wake Forest School of Law kids
Oh
talking
wow.
about, hey, this is Fourth Amendment search and seizure stuff, and they
Mm.
do all these lessons. And you know, in when I was in the DA's office, we had teen court, and we were working with kids to help their understanding of the system, but also being a diversionary program, so they didn't wind up in adult court or juvenile court, but you got teen court, so that there's not a record if they were in that at that time over 16 or over. Now it's 18,
Mm.
but yeah, but it's absolutely our responsibility to make sure the public is educated and make sure the public understands what's going on,
Right.
and to make sure that when we're in court, that we are creating a culture and an environment where people feel like justice is happening.
Yeah.
And I think from when you walk in to how you act, to your tone, to how you treat defendants, to how you treat the attorneys, to how you treat the staff,
Mm.
all of that matters in the culture of what a courtroom is going to be.
Right.
You want everybody who walks in to feel like I'm gonna get a fair shake.
Right.
This judge doesn't have an agenda. This judge isn't out for blood. This judge isn't best friends with this person, but we're gonna get a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people, and it was the same as a prosecutor, right? You
Okay.
you you don't want. When I was a prosecutor, I mean, I think you could ask most defense attorneys, and they would tell you I was not a let's lock them up at all cost prosecutor. I wasn't a we're going to war because I'm just mad type of person.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get the right result, right? And the right result can look like the right result. What justice looks like can be just different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Justice can mean a lot of different things. So like, there's no like one singular definition.
Okay.
But we've had domestic violence cases where listen, the guy just needs better intervention training, right? And like, but to lock him up is going to make a woman get evicted, and that's going to put their kids out in the street. And
Mm-hmm.
how many days can you miss work before you get fired, right? And you ask the average person there, and it ain't a whole bunch, right?
True.
And so a lot of times in these situations, you have to not just what does justice look like is not we have to lock them up at all costs or
Right.
lock a person up at all costs. Sometimes it's like, okay, what is equitable? I've had plenty of cases where a victim would say, "Listen, I just need my laptop back. I don't care if he broke in. If I could just get my laptop back, we're good."
Mm-hmm.
And so, hey, go to the defense attorney. Hey, get the laptop back. We can dismiss this case, right?
Right.
And that's equitable. That's what our victim wants.
Right.
That helps. I mean,
Court costs or time.
oh
And
yeah, I mean
all
it's
those things.
it's an efficiency thing. But so anyway, but it is our job to educate the public of these type of things, and to know what's going on in the system, to know what's going on in our courts, what's going on in that, but also like outside of court, right? Not just in court and the education part, but the other part of a judge is like to be that role model, right? And you can't separate the two, right? You when people come in, people see you, and some people, even though you're the judge and they in there for court, they'll see you up there and they see you as a prominent person in the community, and so you got a duty to uphold that,
Right.
and to not to play with it. When I mentioned Larry Brown earlier, but when he got sworn in at Alamance County, he was the first black district court judge of Alamance County. And when I
Really?
went to and when I went to his swearing in, he called me and said, before the swearing in, he said, "Hey man, I want you to come sit with my family." I'm like, no, right? I said I'm gonna be in the very back, like the back, standing up. I ain't taking up nobody's seat.
Right.
Too big a deal. Too many people want to see it. So I'm in the very back of their courthouse in Graham, and I'm upper level. I'm at the back wall, and there was a custodian standing beside me in tears.
Wow.
In legitimate tears.
Wow.
And he says, "I never thought I'd see this." And so, like, these things like exist, right? Like,
That's amazing.
People were inspired by that, and that when you're trying to take on these type of roles, I think that that has to be part of what you're thinking about, right? Is that someone's going to be inspired by you. Somebody,
Right.
you have the ability to like maybe motivate someone and say, "Look, man, I'm from Durham. I grew up in an old farm. I'm not, if I can, no one who knew me from high school, we can call them up now. They would be like, nobody, no way, never, ever, ever thought this dude would be an attorney."
Right.
And if I could do it, and I'm not even that smart, you can. A lot of these kids can do it because they smarter than me. And so, like, but that's all. I think all that is encompassing in our roles.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect.